Hi everyone, good evening. This is Professor Benedict A.E. Candia. I'll be reporting on the trends and issues in the current education paradigm. Currently, having a program in the PhD, Doctor of Philosophy and Research and Evaluation at the Graduate School of Education at Cebu Normal University. So, my topic will be about navigating equal gender rights and education in the Philippines, the challenges, advocacy, and recommendations. So, I'll be discussing to you the current bill under the review of the Senate, although there is review of the bills, existing studies and literatures and statistical evidence showcasing to you the implications and insights of the bill, and from the specific definition and specific situation regarding the passage of the bill. And I'll also be discussing to you the general context or general perspective about gender equality from the United Nations in achieving the Sustainable Development Goal by 2030. So let me start by giving to you preliminary questions. Question number one: how does SUJI or Equality Bill contribute to creating a safe and inclusive environment for students in the educational institutions? So that's the first question. A, by allowing discrimination based on gender identity. B, by mandating equal treatment and protection for all students regardless of their sexual orientation or gender identity. C, by promoting a single narrative about gender and sexuality. Or letter D, by limiting discussions on diversity in the classroom. So you can drop your answers at the chat box. Let's see some um, answers regarding the question number one. Again, how does SUJI Equality Bill contribute to creating a safe and inclusive environment for students in all educational institutions? So you may send your answers in the chat box. All right, so the answer for the question number one is letter B, by mandating equal treatment and protection for all students, regardless of their sexual orientation or gender identity. So the rationalization of this one is the bill aims, later on, I'll be discussing to you what's the technical definition of the bill. But for this question number one, the answer is the bill aims to ensure that all students feel safe and respected, reducing instances of bullying and discriminations based on the pertinent provisions of the bill. So I hope that some got the correct answers and some were not. So let's proceed to the question number two. Question number two: in what ways can the implementation of 2G bill enhance the mental health and well-being of the LGBTQ plus community or students in school? A, by ignoring the unique challenges faced by the LGBTQ students. Or B, by providing support system and resources that acknowledges their identities. Or C, promoting isolation among LGBTQ plus students. Or D, by discouraging open discussion about sexual orientation or gender identity. So let's have your answers for the question number two, and you may drop your answers in the chat box. Again, in what ways can the implementation of the bill enhance the mental health and well-being of LGBTQ students in schools? All right, so the answer is letter B, by providing support system and resources that acknowledge their identities. So there are few got the correct answer, And the rationale for this one is because the bill can lead to the establishment of counseling and support services that specifically address the needs of the LGBTQ plus students and community, fostering a healthier school environment. So that's the answer for the second question. All right, so let's have again the for the last question before I'll introduce to you the topic proper of our discussion. The third and the last question, preliminary question is, what role does the bill play in promoting awareness and education about diversity and inclusion in the school curricula? So A, it restricts discussions about diversity. B, it encourages the integration of LGBTQ plus topics into educational programs. C, it promotes a one-dimensional view on gender and sexuality. Or letter D, it encourages teachers from discussing current societal issues. Again, question number 3, what role does the SOGI Equality Bill play in promoting awareness in education about diversity and inclusion in the school curricula? So you may drop down your answers. Okay, so the answer for this third and last question is letter B. It encourages the integration of LGBTQ plus topics into the educational program. So if you got the correct answer, I mean majority got the correct answer. Okay, congratulations. So rationalization, the bill supports educational initiatives that promote understanding and acceptance of diverse identities, which is essential for fostering an inclusive school education. All right, so those 1, 2, 3 questions, those are just questions that that might give us preliminary ideas of what will be our discussion for this day, and that those are questions to ponder and applicable in the context of different educational institutions. So for my key topics in my discussion, this is based on the existing articles and literatures in the internet. The first topic will talk about the understanding the challenges faced by the LGBTQ plus students in the Philippines. Second is the influence of religion, particularly the participation of Catholic Church on the LGBTQ rights. And third is the mental health challenges due to the stigma and discrimination. Fourth is the advocacy efforts of UP Baybayin for LGBTQ students. So this is, I found out a published article, a research study from the University of the Philippines, where they talk about their insights, challenges, and recommendations on the bill. And lastly, we'll be providing recommendations for creating a supportive environment, including in education, government action, and financial support. All right, so with that, let me just present to you the definition of what is really the SUJI bill and what does it mean. So from the abbreviation of SUJI, it means that sexual orientation and gender identity and expression. So the equity bill in the Philippines seek to eliminate discrimination against individuals based on their sexual orientation, gender identity, and expression. Since its introduction in 2000, the bill has faced considerable challenges resulting in its prolonged stagnation in the Congress. So until now, this is still a bill, meaning this is not yet a law, but a lot of from all the governing bodies of our Philippine government, though there is still a debate on the passage of the bill to become a law, and it requires a lot of hearing before it became the law will be implemented. So this analysis will explore the trends and issues related to education, providing a foundation for understanding the implication of the SUJI bill in the educational context. So, if you can recall on the candidate for presidency in the in the recent election for the upcoming president, this question about SUJI bill was also um, asked during their presidential forum. So presidents also shared their sentiments and insight regarding the passage of the bill. Although the Philippines is the last, somehow the last to consider this kind of bill, but taking into consideration the United States government and schools were already implementing the sexual and gender expression bill. So basically, our government and our law and our education systems are crafted or being um, um, crafted or being patterned to the US. So as you can see, all we are aware that the United States system and their current norms on gender equality are evolving, and then somehow Filipinos were adapting that kind of culture, but some others have um, pros and cons. Some others have their positive, some have negative feedbacks on this. And then one situation may somehow conflict to the other, and one right can be practiced um, that which may create conflict to others right also. So later on, I'll be discussing on the harmonious approach on how to deal with sustainable approach for the gender equality in the context of, not just in the context of education, but also in the context of the Philippines as a whole. All right, so statistical report. So I'll be showing you latest data on the statistical report and trends. This is about the prevalence of gender discrimination. A 2019 survey by the Rainbow Rights Project and Metro Manila Pride found that 62% of LGBTQ plus youth age 18 to 24 years old reported experiencing discrimination. Furthermore, a social weather station survey indicated that 60% of the Filipinos acknowledges discrimination against the LGBTQ community, with 55% supporting the SOGI bill. This data underscores the urgent need for the protective legislation in educational settings, where discrimination can severely impact student well-being and academic performance. So this is the latest data that they had, whereas the LGBTQ community really showcased or expressed their sentiments that they really experience discrimination in, not just in the education setting, but in the community as a whole. So with that existing data, I have a situational analysis for us to really understand the situation. So the question number one for this statistical report is, a 2019 survey reveals that a significant percentage of LGBTQ youth in the Philippines report experiencing discrimination. So the question is, how does this data inform the need for the protective legislation in the educational settings? So letter A, it indicates that the most LGBTQ youth do not face discrimination. B, it highlights the urgent requirement for policies that protect LGBTQ students from discrimination in schools. C. It suggests that discrimination is only a minor issue among LGBTQ youth. Or letter D. It shows that the general public is unaware of LGBTQ issues. So again, how does the data in 2019 that I presented inform the need for protective legislation in the educational setting? So you're gonna have to drop your answers in the chat box so that we can comprehend on and rationalize your response. So the answer is letter B. It highlights the urgent requirement for policies that protect the LGBTQ students from discrimination in schools. So the purpose, the survey data demonstrates a clear prevalence of discrimination, emphasizing the necessity for legislative measures to create a safer and more inclusive educational environment for LGBTQ students. Before a certain phenomenon can be resolved in a particular community or particular setting, it will really start with um, analyzing the data. It can be by means of qualitative or quantitative measurement. And that's why study on the discrimination, bullying on LGBTQ, um, will the preliminary approach on this one is that one of the rationale of this one is that we really start to gather a empirical evidences or somehow a data that will really support the passage of the legislation, and that data will somehow be the basis in establishing or creating a policy in school or in the community as a whole. But however, one gap that we saw in this one is that the current gender equality bill is not yet a law, but considering if we content analyze existing laws on human rights, one of the one of the laws in the Philippines also is that we really need to preserve and be aware of the individual human rights, and then that's one of the implications of the law, that even the new sexual orientation are entitled on their own human rights and own needs as well. So that's the rationalization. Next is the online activism and opposition. The rise of the anti-Soji communities online in 2019 mirrored growth of pro-Soji networks, particularly following incidents of discrimination, such as trans women being denied access to a female restroom. This popularization of discourse highlights the need for educational institutions to foster inclusive environments that protect all students, regardless of their gender identity or sexual orientation. As you can see in the government establishment, when I go in the um, Bureau of Internal Revenue at Talisay, as you can observe in their restroom, they have a separate comfort room for the LGBTQ. So there is a female, male, and there is an LGBTQ comfort room. Although other private institution did not practice this one, um, but one incident was, as mentioned here in the online activism opposition, a trans woman being denied to access the female restroom. So, and then there is a certain Olympic game. An Olympic game was about um, a trans woman. Uh, I mean, a man that is somehow converted his identity to become a woman, or attended a volleyball game or played in a basketball game. I, I if I can recall it correctly. So a man that changed his um physical attributes to become a woman played in a woman's basketball game. So that's one of the implication of the law, because it will really create a body composition bias, and then naturally man is more, you know, a man is more rich in testosterone and muscular groups that cannot be competing with a woman biologically per se. So that's one of the implication of the law, because in the pursuant of the LGBTQ or equal gender rights, trans woman or man becoming a lady are now merged in their certain sexual preference. And in sports, this is crucial because biologically speaking, men are more dominant in terms of strength, muscles, in the aspects of their DNA compositions. So that's one of the considerations also. Mo siguro ng wala pa mapasar ang bill, because once the bill will be implemented, it may create, it cannot be a generalized approach, or one passage of law will somehow conflict to the other interest. So that's why they have a motion to consider other um, factors or external ideas that will somehow, implicate once the law is being passed. And that is why research should start first, so that ideas, data, and evidences will be converted into policy, and policy will be converted into law. So the next is the social media dynamics. Conversion surrounding Conversations surrounding Suji Bill in 2018 were predominantly driven by gay rights groups, while opposing faith-based groups have minimal online presence. However, as awareness grew, organized oppositions from conservative factions became more pronounced. This shift indicates a growing need for educational institutions to engage in discussion about diversity, inclusion, equipping students with knowledge navigating complex issues. So, um, in terms of, based on this article, existing article published in 2018, that social media discussions or presence were predominantly occupied by the LGBTQ community. So this shift indicates growing need for educational institutions to engage in. So it implies that educational institution, most especially in the student organization, should participate in the discussion of the gay rights or the LGBTQ rights. So issues and implications of particular this bill in the education paradigm. See, first is the concerns over women's rights. So critics of the Suji bill argue that it may undermine women's right by allowing individuals assigned male at birth to access female spaces, or raising concerns about safety and privacy. So mo po nang one of the issue regarding the passage of LGBTQ plus community, kay it may somehow be conflicting in the existing law about human rights, because there are other women that are not comfortable sharing comfort rooms with opposite gender, even though the opposite gender is claiming that he or she is part of the LGBTQ community. And conflict may somehow be arise, most especially in safety and privacy. So that's one of the review also, analyzing the risk implications, and then the differences of the LGBTQ rights or the SUJI bill to the existing women rights. So this debate has significant implications for educational institutions, where policies regarding restroom access and participation in gender segregated activities must be carefully considered to ensure inclusivity while addressing safety and concerns. So again, as mentioned a while ago, there will always be a concern on the the rights of each gender. So political and religious opposition. So the bill faced significant resistance from religious groups and conservative politicians who view it as promoting immorality. The influence of the predominantly Catholic population in the Philippines complicates legislative landscape, making it challenging for lawmakers to support the bill without facing backlash. The political climate can trickle down to educational settings, where educators may feel pressured to conform the prevailing societal norms rather than advocative for inclusive policies. Um, this is also we may also understand that and a politician must also be sensitive in showcasing or expressing their ideology regarding this particular issue, because this issue is very much controversial. Like for instance, in the last year, Manny Pacquiao shared his ideology about the passage of the bill, and it was posted in the social media. He have his own explanation and rationalization of the LGBTQ community, and as he mentioned, to quote that LGBTQ plus is immorality because it is God did not made those particular gender, and then men is obliged to have um to partner with women, or women who is obliged to partner with men. So that's somehow the viewpoint of the politician, that it is against morality. So that's one important thing to consider: the political and religious oppositions. Lack of awareness. So lack of awareness. Many individuals enduring LGBTQ community remains unaware of the SUJI bill and its implication. This lack of awareness poses a challenge for advocates seeking to mobilize the support of legislation. Educational institutions can play a crucial role in raising awareness about LGBTQ issues and the importance of the SOJI bill, fostering informed and supportive student bodies. Education also plays an important role in the passage of the law, and this controversial topic, must start in letting the student understand what's the current situation nowadays, because the ignorance or the lack of awareness will somehow create or may ignite discrimination among students once they go up. So for me, educational reforms and educational awareness, not just in the higher education but most especially in the basic education, whereas elementary students will really not on the technical topic of the LGBTQ, but it is more of educating the student on what's the important of gender equality, like the respect of each differences, each preferences, and then respect, understanding, and then fostering a unified atmosphere in the classroom, or camaraderie, that will really foster um, sustainability in gender equality. So it must start on the grassroots level, from if the children can really understand the importance of gender differences, and understanding that their viewpoint of their own interest or their own understanding cannot be somehow be the same understanding as their classmate, because each other have their own preferences. If only the elementary students can understand that one, the essence of respect and the essence of unity, and then we will no longer be stressed on the adult individual or adult learners why there is a presence of discrimination. So there is still a question of reform in the educational setting, questioning first is the advocacies of the teachers and how teachers will relay this crucial information to the minor groups. So that's one important educational reform that we must consider. So case analysis, so number 2. For question number 2, following the incidents of discrimination, online activism surrounding the passage of the bill has popularized the community. So the question is, what implication does the popularization have for educational institution in play or help in fostering inclusivity? So A, it shows that educational institutions should avoid discussion of the SUJI bill. B, it indicates that schools must actively engage in promoting inclusivity to counteract discrimination. C, it suggests that only pro-SOGI groups be representative in schools. Or letter D, it implies that there is no need for discussion about the particular bill in the diverse setting of schools. Again, thus what does it implies if this current issue is already popularized? So will the educational institution play an important role? So what do you think are the best answer for this one? Is it letter A? Is it letter B, C, or letter D? So you may share your answers and your own point of view in the group chat. All right, one important insights of the case analysis, why I am giving you a question regarding this one and why I am also tasking you to provide rationalization based on your answer. It's because we can actually see the common themes or common insights that you have, so that it will create unified understanding. So let's see what's the common response and what's the reason behind it. Okay, so the answer is letter B. It indicates that school must actively promote inclusivity to counteract discrimination. So there must be a participation of school in fostering, because you are molding future leaders in the classroom, and then the passage or the orientation on this or implication of this is that individuals will somehow share their correct ideas to the other friends and students, so that it will foster a equal or respectable or inclusive community. So the popularization of discourse necessitates that educational institutions take proactive steps in creating inclusive environments that protect all students regardless of their gender identity or sexual orientation. So case analysis number 3. Critics of SOGI bill expressed concerns about its potential impact on women's rights. So this is discussed a while ago regarding the conflict of the passage of that LGBTQ bill to the current human rights. So this is already a law. Women rights is already a law. What consideration should schools take into action regarding the restroom access and the gender segregation of the activities? Again, this is it is a difficult question, what considerations should schools take into account regarding the restroom access and gender segregation activities? So A, schools should ignore the concerns of critics. B, policies must be developed to balance inclusivity with safety and privacy concerns. C, all students should be allowed unrestricted access to any facility. Or letter D, schools should consider the opinions of religious groups. So again, your answer, you may drop it in our chat box. So the answer is policies must be developed, balance inclusivity and safety and privacy concerns. So rationalization, it is essential for educational institutions to navigate the complex of inclusivity while addressing legitimate safety concerns raised by various stakeholders. Basically, any organization is allowed to create their individual or contextualize and localize policy that will help in the practice of human rights among different individuals with different sexual orientation and needs. So, comprehending on the question, educational institutions or other business establishments are allowed to create their policies addressing the current issues or concerns regarding inclusivity and safety and privacy concerns. And basically, what the rationale of this one is that the creation of the policy must be based on the voice of the individuals occupying the certain organization or environment. And we cannot create a certain policy that is biased based on our needs. The creation of the policy must be based on the voices, experiences, and concerns of individuals so that the policy can be a whole approach, and it must be contextualized and localized because it must be based on the needs of the local, because each local has their own behavioral patterns, cultural considerations. Each has their own practice of their cultures and religions. Each has their own practice of preferences. So it is nice to practice that the creation of the policy must be based on the voice and experiences of the individual is concerned. So studies and literature basis. Constitutional mandate. The SOGI bill aligns with the, we're gonna analyze the SOGI bill and how its alignment to the existing 1987 constitution, so which guarantee individuals protection and discrimination. Our Constitution provides a strong foundation for educational institutions to implement policies that promote equality and inclusivity. So, although the passage of the SOGI bill is not yet a law, but our basis of our policy implementation in our certain organization can somehow be aligned in our existing 1987 Philippine Constitution or even the basic human rights. So, promoting equality and inclusivity. And proposed provision. Current version of the SOGI bill includes provision that prohibit discriminatory acts based on sexual orientation, gender identity, and expression. It aims to ensure that equal access to healthcare, education, public services, while penalizing harassment and discrimination. These provisions are crucial for creating safe and supportive educational environment. So, humans nowadays are very complex. So, kung pangutan-on po ang tanan sa Facebook, maayo gyud silang tanan. Niya, kung mo-comment ka sa ilahang post, mapildi yun ka kay maayo man silang tanan. So you need to understand the behavior that lisod kayo na sulbaron kay daghan king bright, ika-post nimo sa Facebook regarding that particular issue. many will express their correct ideas because no ideas are wrong. All opinions or ideas are right based on their own point of view. But the important thing is that the practice of your own human right should not be conflicting on the other's right as well. So the point of view of the passage of the bill or whatsoever passage of the woman right or LGBTQ right or gender equality is that the although evolving preferences, evolving sexual preferences, the important thing is that we should not harm the right of the individual people because you may practice your own sexual identity if you love other gender, same gender. There has no problem. There is no problem at all. But once you practice your own right, and then the one that receives your practice will somehow feel harassed or discriminated by your own free will, it is now somehow part of unlawful acts or discrimination. So again, we must be considerate of individual differences, and then the important thing is that the practice of individuals' right creates a safe and supportive environment for all. So this analysis, again, question. Sojiville has faced significant oppositions from religious group and conservative politicians. This is discussed a while ago. How does this political climate affect educators' ability to advocate for inclusive policies? A. Educators are free to advocate without any societal pressure. B. Political climate may discourage educators for supporting inclusive policies due to fear of backlash. C. There is no impact of educators' advocacy efforts. D. Educators are encouraged to align with conservative viewpoints. Although in the Philippines, there is also one latest study, an article showcasing that Philippines has the most laws and provision passed. Daghan na kayong balaod gi pasar sa Pilipinas, but they are critically analyzing the law. There are a lot of laws that were not implemented or doesn't have any merit at all. So the law is already there, but when the people read the law, it has also different understanding and different implication. Like for instance, I'll pass this particular policy. So na gini usa ka individual ana nga lain niyang pagsabot ani nga polisiya, lain sa iyang pagsabot ani nga polisiya. Lain gyud og pagsabot tanan. So in the Philippines po daghan na po daw law, pero daghan po mga balaod nga wala matuman. So a lot of laws are not practiced also in the Philippines. So and then as educators, napud na siya gitawag nga code of ethics kuno nga any educators must not be in acquainted with a certain political agenda or political kuan. So ginadisallow ko ng mga educators, teachers to participate in a political practices or activities. Right? So, mo po na kung sabtod po nimo, mo na po ng maestra nga ay di ko manghilabot na ilang issue sa LGBTQ kay agenda man ni kuan na agenda man. Lain gyud og understanding ang tanan regarding the implementation of the law, most especially if there is a presence of politics. So, mo nagingon nila nga kung magstorya ko na mo sa imong friends or mga classmate, likayan ko no ninyo ang istorya nga politika o relihiyon. Kay mo na ang mga topic nga dili gyud magkahuman. So, that's the somehow the my insights on the particular passage. But the answer for the question is letter B. The political climate may discourage educators from supporting inclusive policies due to fear and backlash. So, kabalo man ta nga, um, political leaders will somehow really have a significant influence to the appointed educators in a certain state university or even in the Department of Education. So, kung ikaw, superintendent ka sa Naga, niya, ang mayor imong kontrahon, kay ang passage niya sa iyang policy, kay waka ka o yun. So, mag-andam yung ka nga, pwede ka pulihan as superintendent. Gawas na lang og kanang strong po mo opposition o kanang political will nga mo practice yung kasi mo ang own one. But again, the appointments and the giving of positions is somehow be has the political leaders have the strong one yun, strong reinforcement of the titles or ranks or positions in the certain schools. So the strong opposition from influential groups can create challenging environments for educators who may feel pressured to conform in the prevailing societal norms rather than advocate for inclusivity. So that's one thing that we consider also. And then last question, for the case or situational analysis, many individuals, including those within LGBTQ community, are unaware of the SUJI bill and its implication. So what role can educational institution play in addressing this lack of awareness? So A, they should avoid discussing the SOGI bill altogether. B, they can implement educational programs to raise awareness about LGBTQ plus issues and the importance of SOGI bill. C, they should only focus on traditional subjects, excuse me. Or letter D, they can rely on social media to spread awareness without any formal programs. The answer for this is we can implement educational programs to raise awareness about LGBTQ plus issues and the importance of the SOGI bill. So the rationale of this is educational institutions have critical role in fostering an informed and supportive student body by addressing misconception and promoting understanding of the LGBTQ plus rights and the significance of the SOGI bill. All right, so with that, in my discussion regarding the previous slide that I showed to you, this is focusing only in the context of the SOGI bill, Philippine implication, and what is the latest data that can support or did not support the passage of the bill. So it is somehow in the specific context of 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 the SOGI bill. And right now, I'll be sharing to you the general perspective of what the world or the different nations practice and how they promote the passage of gender equal rights. So this is now letting you view the general perspective or what's the world or the different nations doing in fostering a community in a country in a world where all the gender preferences are accepted and respected. So I'll be sharing to you the ESD framework and the SOGI bill equality. So the context of the sustainable development approach by the United Nations and the current passage of our SOGI equality bill in the Philippines. In the next slide, I'll be discussing to you on how they interplay to each other and their insights, implication, and relevance and recommendations as well. So we are all familiar with the Sustainable Development Goal by 2030, and then the goal number 5 by the United Nations. Okay, Philippines is part of the United Nations, the ASEAN group. The ASEAN nation, Southeast Asian country, and the United Nations had their cooperation that they really agree that by 2030, the 17 Sustainable Development Goal should be passed. All right, so they somehow create a framework on how to achieve a sustainable world by 2030. Although hapit naman ang 2030, so hapit na ang deadline. So one important alignment of the SUGI bill is in the gender equality. So let me just, looking at the different goals, as you can see, there are different goals from goal number 1 up to the goal number 17. Analyzing or arranging the particular goal, the 17 goal can also be viewed or can be arranged. So, gi-arrange man nila kay ang mga goals, for example, the life on land, life below water, the climate change, preservation of the energy, and then kanamani ana kay those goals are belong to the environmental sustainability. It implies that all living things, resources, and life support system. So, as you can see on the different goal also, there is what we call as, for example, the infrastructure, the income, compliance on the labors. So those are part of the economic goal or the economic sustainability, focusing on the jobs income be provided by the different groups. Social sustainability, diri na pud mosulod ang health, well-being, gender equality, human rights, kana, so sud siya sa social sustainability. And then last is the political sustainability. So there is also what we call as the political sustainability. So politics plays an important role and for the decision making. So as you can see in the framework, it is cyclical or interrelated, meaning one environmental practice must not be in conflict with the other pillar. Like, for example, the establishment of a certain infrastructure, or you want to establish a building because you want to have a business in Cebu City. So, in the presence of the infrastructure, establishment of the business, it must be compliant to the environmental standards or environmental sustainability standards. Mosulod na dayon si DNR for the compliance of to the nature needs, yung wala ba siya i-create of pollution, sustainable ba siya. So abantay mo nga si SMC side napug na siya igagawas ninyo sa dayong elevator patong parking, napug na siya gitawag nga sustainability approach or sustainability compliance, na sila gitawag nga ISO, environmental compliance, kay all the buildings will be required on that environmental compliance. Kay dili pwede nga magtukod yung building na kinindot nga infrastructure. So basic approach to consider is the environmental sustainability. Will that presence of an infrastructure create a kuan bagyapon kanang good environmental consideration, no? Basi niya maka-create siya og pollution, maka-create siya og mga toxins, mga nana. So there must be consideration of the natural, kay kung mo-establish ang building, namgid siya economic sustainability, kay makahatag man ka og job income. Yeah, social, people will have to deal with each other, mental health, kay consider na imong infrastructure. And then policy, kay there is a presence of the policy nga you are allowed to establish for that kind of, and then based sa community policy or the government policy, napug kay own environmental or own business policy nga compliant po siya for social, dapat walay discrimination, dapat walay gender discrimination, dapat walay healthy ang environment, tabang sa mo sa nature, makahatag mo og trabaho, compliance of the labor law, the same time compliant po mo sa mga laws and provisions regarding. So mo nang ang approach niya must be interrelated or intertwined, nga harmonious siya in a cycle. Kay contextualizing that one, you will have to learn to transform, learn to know, learn to be, learn to do, and learn to live together. So mo nang an approach is cyclical because the ability to know, learning to know, what learning to know means is that you have your own capability to generate your own knowledge and generate your own ideas. It is important also to teach individuals and students the capacity of learning to know. They must have their own capability of knowing that thing and to let them validate whether their own learning is wrong or not. So mo nang learning to know and learning to be is that individuals have their own capability on knowing what they desire as an individual, what character that they want, what potential in the potentiality that they really want to maximize, what character that they want to imbue themselves with, what values. So there is a values transformation. So that's part of the learning to be. And learning to do is that what they want to do, what they want to practice, what they want to implement, the choose of their life. So, and then learning to live together is that you make sure also that individuals will somehow know how to live together. This is about the social intelligence as well, that you already have the capability of knowing, you have the capability of being a good person, good personality and good character. You have ability to work, and you must have the ability to um participate or be good in a certain environment. Dili man pwede nga maayo kay ka, bright na kay ka, kabalo na ka mo buhat sa tanan, pero pag butang nimo ana work or team, mo create ka conflict from the other. So that's part of the learning to live together. And learn to transform is that one individual must learn to transform not just themselves but also their environment. So the ability to influence na ning learning to transform. And this is now the challenge, whether the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pillars of sustainability must be imbued to our student even in the elementary one. So that's the concept of the sustainable development goal. And these are the data of the gender equality in the whole world. So the world is not on track to achieve gender equality by 2030. So bisag ang tibuok kalibutan wala sila kabalo nga na track ba nila. So as you can see in the kuan in the kuan framework, wala gud nila, wala in the data that they have, wala nila matrack. At the current data daw, however, in the current trends that they have, in the 300 years, they want to end child marriage. So based on the existing problems of the world daw, this is important data. Based on the existing problems in the world and the data that they have on hand, it will take 300 years to end child marriage. So imagine, it will take us 300 years to solve the early marriage or teenage marriage. It will take 286 years to close the gap in illegal protection and remove discriminatory laws. It will take 140 years to achieve equal representation in leadership in the workforce. So 140 years pa daw. Legislated gender quotas and effective to achieve equality in politics. Women's representation in parliament. So 30.9%. So nearly half of married women lack decision-making power over their sexual, reproductive health, and again, nearly half of married women lack decision-making power over their sexual and reproductive health and rights. So half of the married woman daw ang walay decision-making power. And one in 5 young women are married before the 18th birthday. So 1 out of 5, imagine that data, 1 out of 5 young women are married before their 18th birthday. So that's the world data that we have. So target indicators of the gender equality goals by the United Nations is the access to education. So boys and girls should have the equal access to education. Literacy rates. So women and men should have equal literacy rates. the right for education, gender-based violence. Ang kaning gender-based violence ang kasagaran yun nga kanang victim aning gender-based violence kay wala may kanang lalaki nga ipamaligya or lalaki nga imong burikat, di ba? Tagsara mo kadungog nga ang lalaki may pamaligya or ang lalaki may imong burikat. So the prevalence of physical and sexual violence is most majority present in women group, including trafficking and exploitation. So, padala og babae, baligya ang babae. So babae gyud ang kasagaran, wala gyud lalaki nga ipamaligya kayo. Although naagyapoy mga inana nga mga men instances, for there are few, but considering the reports and data that we have, majority are from women. So participation in decision making. So also this is about the government representation. Government must be composed of equal men and women sa daw. Most especially in the decision making. There are decisions must be considered by both genders. Economic empowerment, so kanang mga about man siya sa kanang managerial positions, administrative positions, the gender pay gap, so dapat daw equal po na. So napoy babae nga na appointed as leader, mga babae nga dagkog sweldo, babae nga. So basically our world right now doesn't evolve in an idea that women are only left in house taking care of children and daughter. Because even in the pursuit of the sustainable development goal, it is stated in there that in part of the gender equality is the economic empowerment, whereas woman has the capacity to create or have their own money as well and then have their admin positions as well. Nani siya instance sa una nga, I have a advice fee from the graduate school kanang nagtake to siya og masteral in English man. I will not tell the university, but niana siya nga dili na niya padayono ng iyahang masteral graduation kay niana iyahang bana nga hippie man to sa abo na limot ko sa kuan kanang lugar. Basta hippie to yang bana sa probinsya, pulis man yang bana. Ang reason niya nganong dili siya mahuman sa iyang masteral, hapit na siya mahuman, kay dili mosugot iyang bana nga mahuman siya. Kay dili sad mosugot ang iyang bana, the reason behind it is that dili mosugot ang bana nga mas mulabaw ang iyang sweldo kaysa niya. So, niya ang bana nga dili ko mosugot nga mas mulabaw pa ka sa akong credential ug akong sweldo. O niya ang lalaki nga pulis nga hippie. So basically ang katong advice na ko nga teacher kay bright man to siya. Kundo tigong-tigong na good. Hilak siya kay di lagi siya sugtan siyang bana nga mahuman, kay ang bana di lagi mosugot nga mas mo bright pa siya kaysa or mas mataas pa yang sweldo, mas mataas pa yang posisyon kaysa sa iyang bana nga pulis. So mo to wala ko mahimutang so akong gisuryahan ang katong iyang bana nga makikall ko ganang meeting ba kanang in a good manner nga. Sir, kanang I really appreciate the intelligence of your wife, or in fact na kanang admire ko na ko iyang manuscript ba and how she really crafted the manuscript. She's really an intelligent woman, and if this thesis can be passed or can be hardbound for in compliance for her master's degree, dako you go confident you go nga ma-appeal po niya sa best paper award. And then imagine mo sir if kanang although kuan man da nang dili mo kita permanente ning kalibutan na sir nga kanang kaniadtong mga sweldo kaniadtong mga posisyon kay dili mo gyud na permanente na diha. So mo na gitawag nga gulong ng palad ba ang buhay ay minsan nasa mataas at sa ilalim kuno ana. So gina ko siya nga example lang sir kanang sibak ko lang nga mawala ka sa kalibutan or most especially imong trabaho kay pulis mapusilan ka diha wala kabaluan na ba sibak ko lang ana. Yeah. Ang data will always show that men will die early than women. So dili ka makita og tagsar ka makita og lalaki nga byudo. Sagaran gyud babae byuda ana. Considering the environments and the issue that we have. So mao to nga kanang giingnan ako siya nga sir kanang musugot ba ka sir nga kanang mamatay ka sa kalibutan nga imong asawa gaatiman sa imong unom ka anak nga imong asawa kay dili ka provide kay diha ra siya kutob, or adto ka magpili nga imong asawa ni graduate og masteral, nga graduate og doktoral, mawala ka diha sa kalibutan imong asawa maka-provide gyapon sa anak. So this is not an issue of dominant sexuality. This is an issue of practicability and economic sustainability. So you may consider the practical side of it, the economic sustainability, financial sustainability that you have, nga imong gi-deprive ang imong asawa na nga mo graduate sa masteral. Mo to ang ending kay kuan kanang nisugot siya nga mahuman og masteral, nisugot siya nga anana kay silukso man yang bana kay policeman anana. Basin kasilo siyang bana nga kanang kami magastorya siyang asawa ba kay gwapo man ang advisor, so mo tong ana but that's part of gender bias or gender-based violence as well, whereas women are not being empowered ba, because there is a discrimination nga male will always be dominant in the society, and that idea is no longer present nowadays because women are entitled to be kuan again, or all the other genders as well. So health and reproductive rights. So access of the health and reproductive rights also for women, whereas they have the freedom to choose family planning, gender equality and education context, and gender equality in STEMs or sciences, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So introduction or the implementation of the ESD framework on a SUJI bill. So promoting inclusive education. So I'll just go over with this one, and then for the interest of time, if you have more concerns on, although this is a very complex issue man, and it has a lot of complex data and ideas magod in terms of the gender equality, kay musulod magud ni ang tanan. If you study gender equality, musulod na dayon si violence, musulod na dayon si financial, musulod na dayon si politics, musunod na si biological. So kung imo siyang tanawon, kung dili gani mo siya ang issue mo, dili siya tanawon og kanang one door ba. So you must consider nga the presence of that particular issue is rooted from different factors, and there are a lot of doors to open nga dili pud nimo siya ablihan sa usa ra ka pultahan ba. So ikaabli nimo nang usa ka pultahan, dili mo tanawon nga kana ra ang issue kay daghan bagyo gapon naglain-lain nga pultahan. Okay, so mo nang but I'll give you the references, like for example, promoting inclusive education, capacity building for policy support, community engagement and multi-stakeholder approaches, addressing systematic challenges based on the framework of the sustainable development by the United Nations. Then for the conclusion, the implementation of the UNESCO ESD's framework provides a vital pathway for addressing the challenges associated with the SOGI bill in the Philippines. By promoting inclusive education, building capacity, engaging communities, and taking systematic issues, ESD can help create more equitable and supportive environments for individuals regardless of their gender or sexual orientation. So this is also a monitoring tool, evaluation tool for the women. Kay kasagaran man good nga left behind or discriminated nga gender is the women ba. So mo nang the UN provided us with a tool where we can help us determine the presence of gender equality, so data or disability statistics. So outline gender intersectional inequalities, new flagship initiative on gender statistics. Okay, so here are the agenda and its following indicators. So there are a lot of tools cited in the following references that I stipulated in the PowerPoint presentation. Many existing and new challenges for the statistics. So I will run through, for example, for the goal number 5, then the reaction to the item. So based on that following indicators that they have, data sources in the monitoring agency. So you can look at one for the following tools that we can use. So better production of the use of statistics for evidence-based localization of the policy. Again, as I mentioned, policy making must be aligned with the interests of the individuals occupying the certain environment or the organization. So, okay, it must start with the data. The data can be qualitative. Qualitative meaning it can be based on their feeling, emotions, and experiences. Or the data can be quantitative, based on survey, based on numbers, based on answers, based on mathematical evidences, scientific evidences. So dapat ang policy, the law, ang study yun nga gibuhat must be used in a policy making, unya ang policy making must be implemented o anchored, implementation must be anchored in the policy, and then nabo na siya evaluation whether the policy implementation is good or not. So napagid siya kanang evaluation of the policy and the practice. Yeah. Outputs. So I'll run through with that. So I guess that will be all for my presentation. And if you have questions, feel free to chat me and message me. Thank you so much and have a nice day.